in the investigation, but it's something we've looked forward to and anticipated for almost 2 years now. And I'm sure you're all aware of the tragic and horrific death investigation of 5-year-old Cairo Jordan. That began April 16th of 2022. And on that date, a local mushroom hunter found a brightly colored suitcase with the Las Vegas motif in the wooded area in rural Washington County on Holder Road. Cairo was 5 years old at the time of his death, and since that date our detectives have worked tirelessly to bring justice to this case and justice for Cairo. In October of 2022, arrest warrants were issued for Don Coleman and Dejaune Anderson in relation to this case. October 26th of 2022, Don Coleman was arrested and, as you're all aware, stood trial and was sentenced in November of last year. Earlier this week, Detective Matt Busick received information from a concerned citizen which started the path to physically locating Dejaune Anderson, the mother of Cairo Jordan. Acting on this information, Detective Busick worked hand in hand with ISP troopers who are assigned to the U.S. Marshals Task Force and with U.S. Marshals themselves. And working hand in hand with them, kept the U.S. Marshals abreast in California on the information that we were receiving and gathering. As a result of this information and investigative work, these investigators apprehended Dejaune Anderson last night without incident in Arcadia, California. She was arrested on a warrant issued out of Washington County, Indiana. That was issued back in 2022. That warrant again was for murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, which is a level 1 felony, and obstruction of justice, which is a level 6 felony. She is currently being held at a Los Angeles Police Department detention center in Van Nuys, California. And as we speak, ISP Detective Busick and detectives from the Indiana State Police Post here in Sellersburg are actually en route at this time to California to continue this investigation. So again, a huge milestone, a day that we're very happy that we've come to at this point. It's still a somber day, but we're very, very pleased and happy that we have who we believe everybody to be involved in this tragic murder case in custody at this time, so the investigation can move forward. So I don't have a lot of detailed information I can give, but at this time I'll take any questions that I can.
As part of the
I mean, elation, you know, again, it's a somber moment when you think back to the whole story, the whole case. You know, I was in that area of the crime scene just last week, and it just brings back a lot of memories. But you know, this is something, you know, I'm not a detective. I'm not the one out there that's putting in those hours after hour in the middle of the night sometimes, and all different locations. But a lot of sweat and blood and tears going in an investigation like this, and I'm just very happy for those men and investigators who've really done everything they can, and to have the break, the information that they needed, that we knew would come. We did know that this day was going to come, but to have it come at this time and to have her in custody, I'm just excited for them. We're all very excited, lifted up and buoyed by the fact that she's behind behind bars, and can be brought back to Indiana, so we can continue this trail for justice for Cairo. You say when? Roughly earlier this week. It was relatively recent information.
As part of the plea agreement, did Coleman agree to testify against Anderson when she was arrested?
That's something you'll have to speak with the prosecutor's office in that case, but that's my understanding. But that was something that I can't speak on.
And although Cairo didn't have any connections to this area, have you been getting a lot of feedback from the public just asking about the mother's whereabouts and how that investigation is
It's
going?
something that, you know, again, it's been almost 2 years. It was April of 2022. We're just a few days away from that date. it's very common to be stopped and asked about how the investigation's going. Have we learned anything, and just moral support. The community of Washington County really came together for Cairo, provided him with a funeral, with a headstone. There's still flowers to this day that are placed at his gravesite, and people praying for him and his family, and that justice would be done. So again, a huge event in this investigation to bring that one step closer.
Were there any other arrests made with the people helping Anderson out in California?
To my knowledge, at least, no. She was the only one arrested. Again, it was a cooperative effort with the Indiana State Police detectives. We also have Indiana troopers who are assigned to the U.S. Marshals Task Force, who did a lot of work in this case to get that information going and in connection with the U.S. Marshals in California. So they're working hand in hand. Obviously, we can't be here in California at the same time, but working hand in hand with the U.S. Marshals, this is something that we were able to do because of that cooperative effort. So they did a lot of work for us. Very pleased. And of course, they're elated too to be able to find her. So did a lot of work. Again, behind the scenes, a lot of phone calls, a lot of information back and forth between agencies and people at different locations.
What are the next steps in bringing Dejaune Anderson back to Indiana?
Right, so that will depend. Again, our investigators are en route now to hopefully speak with her. A lot will depend on how that goes, as far as is she willing to waive extradition and come back to Indiana. If not, that will take a process. That's a process that will probably take at least 30 days for that to happen before she would be sent back here. So that's something for the prosecutor's office to work with and to work on right now. Can't give any timeline, but it could take some time, and a lot just depends on what happens.
Do you know anything about, any details about the state she was in at the time of
The
arrest?
state, all I can tell you is that when she was located, she was attempting to board, or in the process of boarding, a subway, or I should say a form of public rail transportation that's common out in California in that area. So she was mobile, she was walking when she was taken into custody.
So that's pretty impressive that they were able to track her down that many miles away, and the fact not that she was at a home or anything, she was en route moving.
Right. I can't get into all the details exactly how long they were watching, those types of things, but yeah, it's just great work. Again, the U.S. Marshals were very appreciative of everything they've done for us here today, and the authorities in Los Angeles. Again, she is in a Los Angeles Police Department jail in Van Nuys at this moment. Whether or not she'll stay there, I don't know, but they're working hand in hand with us so that we can move this case forward.
Did she resist at all?
To my knowledge, there was no resistance. She was taken in without custody, or without any incident. She was taken into custody. That's really all the information I can share at this time. Again, but we're just very excited that we're at this moment. So almost 2 years in coming, and now we can move forward. So a big relief. When this case started, on that evening of April, there was a ton of unknowns. We had no idea who we were dealing with. Young Cairo, was tragically taken without any identification there with him. So we had a lot of work to do, and our first task was just to identify who we had. And there was a lot of speculation by the public and people in the different industries about what was going on. In the end, it was good old-fashioned police work that led to all these answers. And I can't praise our investigators and detectives enough.
And no outstanding suspects after this?
At this point, to my knowledge at least, yeah, we have everybody that we believe related to this case in custody at this time.
What has it meant to you to see your community that you guys serve just really come together, and then finally there's light at the end of the tunnel? There
Right.
will be a conclusion into this story.
Right.
Just what has it meant to you these last 2 years?
I mean, again, it's a small community, a rural community, so to see everybody come together, which they always do, but just to see that public support and know that they're standing behind you and giving, if they could do anything, they would. So we're just thankful for all their help, and we're thankful for their thoughts and prayers through this whole process. I'm sorry? Yeah, the warrant that was it was the warrant that was actually issued back in October of 2022 in her name, Dejaune L. Anderson, for count 1 murder, a felony, count 2 neglect of a dependent in resulting in death, a level 1 felony, and count 3, obstruction of justice, a level 6 felony.
Is it Dejaune or Dewan?
I have to admit, the exact pronunciation of her name, I've heard it both ways, so you might want to look into the exact pronunciation if I misspoke a few times. Dejaune, I've heard Dejaune, I've heard a few different ways, but I've typically gone with Dejaune. Any other questions?
Any pictures or anything of her from out there?
I mean, I've got from out there,
Yeah.
not this time, no. So, again, through your sources, if she's in custody out in California, there may be something you guys are able to do, but I don't have anything like that at this time. Just the former mug shot that we had from the prior investigation, early in the investigation.
The boy's father, the family?
I can't speak to any of that information at this time. So, okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you.